Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. We don't know exactly where you are, but physically, but the most important thing, as you are virtually now with us, with me, with the people on LuxOEG, and also with Marcos Vinicius, who is physically located in São Paulo, Brazil. So this is the last session for today, the OUC Oracle Groundbreakers EMEA Tour. And I would like to thank you everyone to stay here all day long with us. And as you probably notice, is the LuxOEG chapter of the AUC Tour, OGB Tour, EMEA Tour. And we are a group founded in 2019 for some Brazilians who lives here in Luxembourg. We have more than 100 members on our portal, www.luxoug.org. And it's a free membership, so you can join us. And I would like also to take this opportunity to suggest you to subscribe for all sessions during the until 15th of October. We will have many more sessions of Oracle Stars in the community here on OGB EMEA Tour. So Vini, it's stage is yours.
Okay, guys, I will share my screen, okay?
Perfect. You can do it.
Okay, just a moment. And please let me know when you're able to see my screen.
Yes. If you can adjust a little bit the resolution. Maybe you are running with a big screen.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, for me, it's good. Somebody on the audience can confirm that. For me, it's clear. Just to avoid mess with your background and everything.
Okay. Someone can.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Someone said looks good. Okay, let's go
so,
ahead.
Okay, guys. So thank you, Rodrigo, Andre, and all the people from LuxOEG, and also the guys from AUC for this opportunity to speak to you. Today, I will talk about AutoScaling Configuration OCI. Okay. So as Rodrigo said, my name is Marcos Vinicius. I'm from Brazil. I'm based in São Paulo. I was working with Oracle for the last 15 years. I have a blog. I'm part of our Oracle program as well. I was a reviewer for the Oracle Press book for Backup and Recover RMAN 12C. I worked for 9 years in a partner in Brazil, Discover. Then I joined Oracle at ACS. Worked for 4 years, and then since June 2018, I joined ENKITEC. I have some certifications. The green ones are the cloud certifications. I'd like to play that. Well, I have only 0.15 Alex Zabala certifications, right? So this is a Zabala coin, looks like a Bitcoin. So just a few certifications. I'm working for ENKITEC. ENKITEC is a group for part of ACCENTURE. We are in ENKITEC job Oracle members. ENKITEC is a leader in Exadata implementations in the past. Today, we are still working with Exadata, cloud, database, secure performance, so a lot of technology there. I don't know if everyone knows about Oracle's program, but if you don't know about that, Oracle's program is a program that recognizes the people from the community that share their knowledge. So if you have a blog, or if you are a speaker, or if you write articles, you can be a candidate to be part of this program. You can nominate yourself, or someone can nominate you. After that, the Oracle's program people will evaluate your profile, and if you deserve, you receive the award for Oracle's program. Okay. So this is our agenda today. So first of all, to keep the things clear, today we will not talk about database autoscaling. Okay, this autoscaling speech is about compute autoscaling. So before we start with compute outscaling, let's talk about some key concepts for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. OCI was launched as an Oracle Bare Metal Cloud service back to 2016. So 2016, sorry. On 2017, the name has changed to OCI. 2018, it was changed for second generation. And this year, Larry Ellison just announced the private regions. So now, if you are a customer from Oracle and if you would like to use OCI, but inside your data center, you can launch an entire region only for you, exclusive for you in your data center, okay? So some concepts for OCI. OCI, we have compartments. Compartments works as a logical workspace. So inside a compartment, you can create your instances, your databases, your networks, your block volumes, and so forth. Access to compartments are granted by groups, not by users. If we compare with database, user cannot access a compartment directly. A user must be part, comparing with database, must be part of some role. Then you can grant the permissions to this role so the user can have access to compartments. So on OCI, all the privileges are managed by groups and not by users, okay? When you create your OCI account, your tenants, the first compartment that is created is the root compartment. There is a best practice that you may not create the resources into there. So you can create a lot of compartments to organize and isolate your resources. So you can create, for example, a dev compartment, QA compartment. You also can create, if you want, a compartment only for dev networks and dev application servers or dev database. So this is up to you. On OCI, we have a region. Region is a geographic area. For example, in Brazil, we have a region for OCI. Inside each region, you have the availability domain, or AD. AD is just a data center inside a region. So if you have a region with 3 ADs, you have 3 data centers there. Those data centers are isolated from each other. Okay, so you can use the ADs to achieve high availability for your resources, for the application service, I mean. So into each region, you have the ADs, and into each AD, you have your fault domains. So fault domains are physical racks where the servers are located. And you use different fault domains to isolate your servers inside AD. An important thing to say that the ADs are interconnected to each other with low latency and high-speed network. Continuing, you have the VCN, that is a virtual cloud network. Is a traditional version for network, but is a virtual with subnets, route tables, gateways, and so forth. Instance is a compute host, so you can have an instance, a virtual machine or a bare metal machine, no, doesn't matter. A shape specify the size of your instance, so the shape specify the number of CPUs and memory, and also the network bandwidth. Today we have the flexible shapes, so you can customize your number of CPUs and memory. You don't, in the past, a shape, for example, you have a shape for 1 CPU and 7 gigs of memory, and the next shape available is 2 CPUs and 14 gigs of memory. Today you can use a flexible shape, so you can just customize the amount of memory and CPU that you need to run your machine. Block volume is a virtual disk that you can attach to the servers. Object storage works as a buckets, and OCID is the ID. Each resource on cloud receives on OCID, is identified uniquely by this ID. When you subscribe to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, you need to choose your home region, okay? So after that, you can subscribe for another regions as you want. You will not pay for that because you pay only for resources inside the regions that you created. So you can subscribe for any regions that, how many regions that you want or you need it. Important thing to say that some regions around the world has only 1 AD. And Oracle did that to increase the global reach quickly. So today we have 27 regions around the world, and some regions, like in São Paulo, Brazil, has only 1 AD. For that regions, Oracle has a promise to deploy a second AD or a second region in the same country or area, geopolitical area, within a year. So let's suppose that São Paulo region was launched 6 months ago. In the next 6 months, Oracle will deploy another region to enable DR options or data reasons, if you want. This is the global footprint that we have today. As I said, this is the region São Paulo. This is the planned to be launched. Those ones with the Microsoft flag are regions that are interconnected with Azure, with Microsoft Azure. So on those regions, we have the OCI and Azure interconnected by a high-speed network. So some customers like to run their servers, their Windows servers on Azure, but run your database or database service on OCI. So you can install your database on OCI and use your application on Azure, and those regions are interconnected each other. Okay, so let's start talking about the on-premises capacity challenges. Well, when you are talking about applications, in a production environment, you probably have more than one server for your application. So we can name those servers as a farm or a pool. And the main challenge when you are building a pool is the initial size, because what is the workload that you are planning to put in your application? How many computers this farm needs to support your workload? And another thing, during a high demand period, for example, on fiscal year ending or some unpredictable high demand, your pool will scale out, will increase. Or if your demand decreases, your pool will decrease. And another question, this operation is automatic or can be scheduled. And one more thing, the pay-as-you-go model on premises is not easy to implement. So why is not easy to implement? Because you have forced physical servers, for example, with a lot of virtual machines there. Sometimes your physical servers will run with, for example, 80% idle of the capacity. Who is paying for this idle capacity? Sometimes or every time on on-premise environment, when you buy a physical server, you pay for entire machine. So even if your machine is idle, you are paying for that. You are paying for power, for CPU that you are not using, for license, and so on. When you have VM, also it's a challenge to increase your pool, because with VMs, new VMs, when you deploy new VMs, you need to add those VMs to load balancers if you are using load balancer. And also the firewall rules must be allowed traffic from VMs to load balancer. Today we have some DevOps tools that can help to deploy machines quickly, but you still have one limit, the capacity of your VM architecture. If you have 10 physical servers, that 10 servers are your physical limit for your architecture. So in this case, if you need to deploy more machines, sometimes you need to buy more physical servers, plug those physical servers into your VM architecture, and then you can deploy your new VMs. So this is not so easy, right? And not so fast. Kubernetes can be a solution, but I will not talk about that. So let's talk about the concepts for OCI autoscaling. We have two types of scaling on OCI. I mean scaling, not autoscaling. We have the vertical scaling that you just change your instance shape so you can increase the number of CPUs and memory into your existing machine. Or you can use the horizontal scaling. So you change the number of nodes in your pool. And again, on cloud, the pay-as-you-go model works like a charm because you are paid only for the machines that you are using. If you deploy machines, if you let those machines stop it, you pay only for disk used, not for CPU. So now talking about autoscaling, we have two types of autoscaling on OCI. First one is the metric-based. This is a nice type of autoscaling because the main use is for unpredictable demand. So let's suppose that you are right now running your application and you receive a spike of user access. Let's suppose that this is an e-commerce application. You receive a spike. So, but those, not a spike. You have some promotion there, and for the next 2 days, you are not expecting for that. Your access is increased by 100%. So the question is, do you have enough capacity for that? So for metric-based, you need to choose a performance metric, CPU or memory. You need to set the thresholds. And then when your machines reach this threshold, an AutoScaling event will be triggered automatically. And also, AutoScaling will resize your pool in near real time. And if your load increases, your pool will scale out. So your pool will increase. If your load decreases, your pool can also decrease. So you will pay only for the machines inside your threshold. The metrics are collected by monitoring service. This is a service for OCI. The metrics are aggregated into 1 minute periods, and then after that, all the metrics for all instances in your pool will be averaged across all instances. So when you have three consecutive values that is up your threshold in this average, then an AutoScaling event will be triggered. So let's suppose that you have 3 machines in your pool, and we just set up to increase our pool if the CPU is above 60%. If you have, for example, one machine with 100% CPU, even with that, your average across pool is not above 60%. So you not reach, in this case, the AutoScaling because you not reach the threshold, okay? Also, we have a cooldown period. So when you start your machine, for the next 5 minutes, the OCI will let the system to stabilize. So at this moment, for these 5 minutes, you will not receive any AutoScaling event because the OCI is understanding that your system is starting up, your services are starting up, so the system needs to stabilize. So after that, yes, the pool can be scaled. But an important thing, even during this period, for these 5 minutes, AutoScaling will continue to evaluate metrics. So let's suppose that we have the metrics above our threshold on the min 3, 4, and 5. So in the min 6, after this period, the OCI will trigger an AutoScaling event, okay? We also have another type of AutoScaling policy. It is schedule-based. This is very good because it's for demands that you know when you happen. So for example, Black Friday, or quarterly ending, or fiscal year ending, or payroll processing, doesn't matter. So for this policy, you need to create each policy for a pool size. So if you are expecting to receive more users in your site, in your website, you can create a policy to increase your pool, for example, at Saturday at 3 p.m. Okay, but you know that on Sunday 2 a.m. You don't have access there, so you can configure your pool to decrease at this time. So to decrease the pool, I need to create another policy. So you can create multiple policies, one for increase, another one to decrease, and each policy is scheduled for a specific time. Some requirements for policies, for scaling, for metric-based, your instance must use a public IP address, must be in a public subnet, or if you're running your instance in a private subnet, the instance needs to have access to a service gateway to reach the monitoring service, okay, to send the metrics to the monitoring service. Also, on OCI, you have limits in quotas. For example, you have, when you create an account, you can create 5 instances for a specific shape. So if you are planning to increase your pool to 10 machines, but if you are limited to up to 5, you need to open a service request with Oracle asking to increase your limit. But also you can have some quotas defined by the cloud administrator into your tenants. So those two types of limits will be respected when you are scaling your pool. So if you are not scaling, even trigger because you reach the metric, you reach the threshold, and if you don't have limits or quotas, AutoScale will try to create the machines, and after some minutes, you receive a fail that cannot be created because you just reach your limits or quota. And also, you can optionally attach your new machine to a load balancer automatically. Okay. So about AutoScaling metric-based, as I said, you need to specify CPU or memory utilization, but this is to increase your pool, to scale out your pool. Now let's talk about decrease your pool, scaling. I have 5 instances in my pool, for example, and right now just new machines are created because I am using more CPU than planned. After 3 or 4 hours, my CPU usage will be back to normal. So those new machines will be removed from my pool. Well, it depends. The OCI will remove your instance in the following order. First of all, if you have your instances balanced across availability domains. So let's suppose that I have 5 instances. So 2 instances on AD1, 2 instances on AD2, and 1 is on AD3. So with 2 new instances, I will have at least 1 AD with more instances than other ones, compared with other ones. So this AD with more instances will be removed this new instance, okay? So after that, when you have all the instances balanced across ADs, the next step is to remove the instances, keeping the balance across full domains, across FDs. After that, when you have this balance, within a full domain, the oldest instance will be terminated. So this is very important to say that sometimes guys are configuring the application and are keeping some important file in your machines. Well, if you are doing that, you need to keep in mind that this machine can be removed sometime. So because of this, if you have important files there, it is important to use, for example, NFS or file system service. This is an NFS service for OCI. So if you are keeping your files outside your machine using NFS, for example, and if your machine are removed, we will not lose those files. Okay. So the workflow to configure OCI autoscaling. First of all, of course, you need to create your instance and configure it. You can, this is optional, but you can create a custom image. Let's suppose that right here, you install Apache, you configure a lot of resources or JBoss or WebLogic, it doesn't matter. Then this machine is ready to application. Then you can create a custom image for that. After that, if you want, you can terminate this first instance because now you have a custom image. This is also optional, okay? Then you need to create an instance using the custom image that you created here. This is a requirement. After you create this custom image, you need to create an instance configuration. What is instance configuration? I will explain in the next slide. After instance configuration, you need to create an instance pool. And after that, you need to create an AutoScaling configuration. So let's move forward. Instance configuration works like a SP file for database. So when you create an instance configuration, all the configurations for this machine will be placed into this configuration. So what image you created? Remember that we created a custom image, and remember that we created an instance using the custom image. So what is image that we are using? We have some customized metadata there. What is the shape? We have storage volumes attached. What is the Vinicius? So forth. So with instance configuration, you don't need to specify all of those information every time when you are launching an instance. So this will standardize your instance templates, right? This works as an instance template. And one more thing, one instance configuration can be associated with multiple instance pools. This is really fast to create. Then you need to create your instance pool. Well, you create your instance pool because Remember, if you need to scale your instances, you scale your pool, you need to have an object there, a resource named instance pool. So instance pool will create multiple instances using the same instance configuration within the same region across ADs. So the instance pool will not create instances outside your region. Okay, if you are planning to use more than one region, you need to create a second instance pool in another region. This is important to say that you can manage all instances as a pool. So if you would like to stop all instances in the same time, you can just stop your pool or start your pool, doesn't matter. You can scale out or scale in your pool by demand, increasing your pool. You can associate your pool to one or more load balancers if you want. One instance pool must be associated with only one instance configuration. But you can, again, you can have one instance configuration with multiple pools. So this is a relationship 1-to-1, and this is 1-to-n, okay? So about OCI autoscaling. You have your instance, then you click on more actions, create instance configuration. You need to define a name in a compartment, and 2 seconds after, you have your instance configuration created. Then you need to create your pool. You click on create instance pool. You need to define the compartment, the name, the number of instances. If you specify here 5, at this time, 5 instances will be created. You can start with only 1. This is no problem, okay? So you need to specify in which ADs your instance pool will run the instances. So in this case, I am creating my instance pool to configure, to launch VMs in the 3 ADs. And also you need to specify what is the compartment and what is the subnet and the VCN that you would like to use. As I said, this is optional. If you would like to attach this to a load balancer, just click here, specify your load balancer, your backend set, and the port. Okay. Then you created your pool. When you create your pool, OCI will create an instance, a machine, a virtual machine in this case, on OCI. And also you add this machine to load balancer. Okay. If you would like, we have 2 machines running right there. This is the QR for the address for my load balancer, if you would like to test. And also, if you would like to test, just keep this address open in your browser, because in a few minutes, we will scale our pool so you can check that the pool is working fine. After you create your instance pool, you need to create your AutoScaling configuration. So inside instance pool page, just click on create AutoScaling configuration, specify a name. Then you need to specify, this is a metric-based or schedule-based. This is a metric-based. I'm choosing here CPU utilization, and then greater than 6%. So if my CPU utilization is greater than 6%, I will add 2 instances. If it's below 59, we will remove 2 instances, okay? The minimum number of instances will be 1. The maximum in this case, I specify 5, and the initial number of instances will be 1. After that, you can create. To create a schedule, we just create our instance pool for metric and AutoScaling configuration. Now I'm back to instance configuration. I will create an instance pool specific for schedule-based, okay? Because I cannot have 2 policies. I mean, I cannot have AutoScaling for metric and for scheduling using the same instance pool. So we need to run 2 instance pools. So the same steps on the 3 ADs, we attach to the load balancer, created. Right now, I will create the AutoScaling configuration for schedule-based. I will specify a name. I will choose schedule-based. So the first policy, a name for this policy, what is the target pool size that I'm planning to create? What is the schedule? Custom, in this case, on the minute 30, on the hour 15, on the day 2, on the month 10, on the year 2020. So probably right now, it's working fine. It's increase our pool, okay? Because this is UTC time zone. I can create another policy. to decrease our pool. So remember, here my pool size is 2, and here my pool size is 1. So at the minute 40, at the hour 15, 2, month 10, this year, we'll decrease the pool to 1, okay? We have also some schedule options. I was just using the customizing, but you can, for example, every Friday or every day, it doesn't matter. So those are the 2 types of autoscaling. So now let's verify here our pools. We can see that instance pool schedule based is scaling right now. If I refresh here, yes, it's providing 1 instance right now. We have a load balancer here. Again, let me take the QR code to show to you if you would like to access there. This is the address, okay? So let me connect you to the load balancer. This is the IP for load balancer. So we have here the IP 7, 9. This is for metric-based. This is for schedule-based. And in a few minutes, we'll have a new machine on the schedule-based, okay? So now let's take a look about the metric-based. Yes. This is the machine. You can see here for metric-based, we have only 1 server running. Those 2 ones are for schedule. Well, we already have this one working. Let me verify. 7, 9. Well, probably is not added to load balancer. Yes, it's attaching right now to load balancer. So in a few minutes, we can see here in the load balancer the new IP for this machine. Let's verify here, it's in progress. Yes, now we have IP 12 here. Let me verify my page. Yes, right there. Schedule based is the instance, right? So now this is the machine for metric based. This one, the only instance in your pool for metric based. You can see here that the machine is idle right now. So I will execute a stress right there for 10 minutes. Sorry. Let's verify here. Now we don't have CPUs available. We are running 100% of CPU, right? So if I click here on instance pools for metric based, those are the metrics. So just let's wait for some minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, then we can see here the graphic will receive a spike, then the pool will be scaling. So Andre and Rodrigo, if you want to open to questions, because now we need to wait for autoscaling, we can answer some questions for now if you have some.
Yeah, but at the moment there is no question on question and answer tab.
Okay, so this is the steps that I executed. Okay. Again, this is the address for load balancer. If you access, if you want. Let's verify here. You can see here a spike on CPU. Well, in 5 minutes, we will probably new instance, 2 new instances will be scaled to our pool. Let me go to the instance pools again. Let me show to you the AutoScaling configurations. This is for metric based. This is my policy right now. Let me Yes. So our initial number of instances is 1. If the CPU is greater than 60%, we will add 2 instances. If it's less than 59, we remove 2 instances. Okay. We need to wait for this time because remember, OCI will not. This is not customized. Okay, not customized. So in this case, we need to wait for 5 minutes to start increasing your pool. Why is not configured? Because OCI, well, they are believing that maybe you are just receiving a spike on your processing and not more workload. So for the 5 minutes OCI, we wait. So after that, if your pool is still with high CPU usage, and if you reach the threshold, then the OCI will scale your pool. Okay.
Vini, we got a question.
Okay.
In the chat window, Babu is question. What's the best practice and how do we arrive at the numbers of the instance, please?
Well, this depends totally of your application, right? Because, I mean, let's suppose that you are in a Black Friday and the business is expecting to receive, for example, 6% more users in this moment. So in this case, you can configure to make sure that your CPU usage across all the cluster, all the pool will not reach the threshold. So this depends totally for your business. So in this case, for metric-based, I mean, we are not expecting to receive more workload, but if receive, again, this is also, remember that you have 5 minutes for the cool down period. So let's suppose if you're working in a pool with 20 machines, and just make sure that you have enough capacity, you can add more 5 or 6, but this depends totally of your business. Okay, we don't have a magic number for that, unfortunately. I can see a question here, Mufalani, Babu also, if we get billed for the maximum instance or only for the used ones. Babu, this is the great advantage of the cloud, right? The pay as you go. So the pay as you go, you will pay only for the machines that you are using and only the machines that you are started. For the machines that are not started or not created, you will not pay. For, I mean, your maximum instance is 100, but if you are using only 20, you will not pay for 80 machines, right? Because you don't have these machines created and launched yet. And let's suppose that you just start a new machine and then you manually, then you stop this machine manually. Will you pay for that? You pay only for the disks used, not for CPU because the machine is stopped. But in this case, for instance, pool, if you have a limit for 100 machines inside your pool, and you are using only 20 machines, well, we will pay only for 20 machines. Okay. Let's verify here. We receive here in our pool, this color will change to orange when the pool starts to scaling, then we can monitor there. One important thing to say, this research was launched last year on 2019. This is a great research. Back to 2018, I worked in a project, OCI project in Brazil, and the customer has this concern. Well, if I receive more workload, can I have some outscaling there? So back to 2018, no, we cannot have this one. So at this time, at that time, I just created some Terraform with shell scripts, and the guys just configured I guess that they are using Zabbix for that. So they configured the Zabbix with some thresholds, and then they just included this script as an action script. So when all machines in your pool reach threshold, just execute that script. So this is can you see that, guys? We are scaling right now. Let me verify here. So this is great because, I mean, with autoscaling, we don't need to create more scripts, manual scripts, and to maintain those scripts because this is totally automatically by Oracle. So this is our pool. Let's verify the work requests right now. Yes, we can see it's creating instances in pool. We have for now only one instance. In a few seconds, we will receive the second instance to be created. Let's wait. Remember the balancers we have here, IP 7, 9, and 12, right? So in a few minutes, yes, now we have two instances being provided. Meanwhile, we are waiting. You can see in the work request that yesterday, we also created some instance and then some instance was terminated. This is because the pool reached the limit, then decreases the workload, okay? Let's refresh to see. Yes, one machine is already running. Let me verify here if it started to attach to the load balancer. Not yet. This works very fine. So remember the issues that you can have. Yes, two instances is running. So the next step, yes, is attaching to the balancer. This works very fine. So the issues that you can have, maybe you don't have limits for your instances in your tenants, or you have some quotas that are limiting your number of instances. Okay, so let me verify here. Yes, we are. I have one more here. Let me wait for. We have the IP 13. Let me wait for another one. Then we can test our load balancer. Just a few seconds waiting. Let me verify the load balancer. Waiting yet. Let's verify if IP 13 is ready. Yes, now we have the 5 IPs here. Let me show to you guys the load balance first. Yes, 7, 9, 12, 13, 14. Then here, 7, 9 are the ones that we have in the beginning of the session. 12 is the schedule that was provided some minutes ago. 13 provided right now. And 14. So this worked very fine. Let me verify just one more thing here about our AutoScaling configurations. Let me, for the schedule based, let me verify if I just, yes, probably in a few minutes we start the decrease of the pool, based pool, okay? So this is it. If you have some doubts after that, you can reach me and just let me know. And one more thing, Rodrigo and Andrea, I'd like to show to you. This is very fast, okay? I will send to you guys this PowerPoint decks. Well, I know that we have a time, so we need to respect that. So let me show to you guys. We have here, this is the same slide deck, okay? And here we have some bonus. So I explain to you guys how to create an account on OCI, how to create the compartments, how to create your VCN, step by step, how to create your load balancer, how to create your instance, how to create your custom image, and also how to customize your instance to have this code working there, right? So how to customize your instance. This is the code, it's a PHP code. So I will send to you guys this slide deck. So the people that is watching this can have access to that. Okay.
We got one more question here, Vinny.
Okay.
Are you seeing or not? Can I read for you? Is there any notification that you can set when the instance are launched? The percentage of the pool usage so that there is a warning alert, please?
Well, for notification, on Oracle we have services specific for notifications, right? You can use the functions inside OCI. This is a cloud native feature. So with functions, you can monitor and you can check what is the percentage of your pool using the metrics also. So with functions, you can send notifications to email, you can create alerts on OCI, so on and so forth. Okay, so you need to use some flavors for OCI resources. So you need to use the metrics, you need to use functions. Then you can, with functions, you can create the notifications by mail or by OCI even itself. Okay, let me share again my contacts.
There is another, okay. Yeah, the guys, thank you for the questions and for the presentation as well. Thank you again,
Rodrigo,
Vinny.
André, and Fernando, thank you guys for this opportunity. It's a pleasure and honor to be with you. You guys have been missing in Brazil, but I know that you are doing very good right there. So just keep forward.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
See you later.
So no more questions. Yeah. So I would like to thank you everybody to join us today for the whole day. And it's better to look into the camera, not to the screen. I did that all day long. So thank you,
Me too.
Marcos Vinicius. Thank you, the LuxOG crew. Thank you for the speakers, Connor, Jeff, Flora,
Charlie.
and Charlie for having being here with us today, and also for the attendees for the incredible day with a lot of knowledge, with a lot of fun on Oracle Groundbreakers Tour.
Yes.
Luxembourg Oracle User Group Chapter, LuxOUG Chapter. Thank you so much, and be safe. Enjoy the weekend, enjoy the rest of the day. As I told you, we have attendees for all over the world. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
guys. Bye-bye.